Oh, I could play that whole song for you. I won't, but I could. That's by John Martin. It's an old song, actually. It almost because it kind of has to be because John Martin is no longer with us. Martyn is how he spelled his name. More people should know his work. I mean, his 10 best songs are really good, and that is, in my view, one of them. And it is all about, well, it's all about Father Time. All right, so today we're doing something a little unusual. It could be argued that all week long has been an unusual week. So today let me back up. Previously on the Colin McEnroe show. So previously on Tuesday, we were kind of scheduled to do Ask or Tell Me Anything, which is what we're doing today. And that, of course, is the format where people can call the number 888-720-9677, 888-720-WNPR, and talk about anything they want to talk about. Typically, we do it on Mondays. If, in fact, we have something, now I sound like, is it Melina Mercouri who did Never on a Sunday? Anyway, if we can't do it on a Monday, then we do it on a Tuesday. And so we don't usually do it on Friday. Anyway, we're doing it on Tuesday, and, in the sort of 10 or 20 minutes before we went on the air, our technical producer, Dylan Reyes, the maestro, started murmuring softly that things were bad, technically, and that we might actually not have any internet. And my thought, well, our phones are copper wire all the way to the substation, right? No, everything is internet now, so we couldn't get any calls at all. And then I elected, wisely or otherwise, I had a choice, because we could just throw a switch and Here and Now would come on, and you would hear the show Here and Now. But I elected to just host the show and talk for 49 minutes. And some ingenious things were done to make sure that there were things to talk about, and listeners emailed in ideas, and those were turned into texts, or I can't remember what happened. But it was fine. It was fine. And I feel like if you're a host, you should do things like that sometimes, things that make you a little bit uncomfortable. So we did that. But we also realized we never really did Ask or Tell Me Anything. So we're going to do it today. We're also going to do it Monday. And then we won't do it for a while, I promise. It's not going to be our new format or anything. But yeah, you can call in 888-720-9677. I don't know what it's going to be like on a Friday. I do want to say that on a Friday, we are typically doing the Nose, which is a conversation about culture. So if you wanted to make your calls a little bit more cultural, you don't have to. You want to call up and talk about Melania. I'm ready to talk about Melania. I'm ready to talk about AI. I'm ready to talk about all kinds of stuff. But if you wanted to make your calls a little cultural, maybe mention something that you've been watching or listening to, or that you're excited about, this would be a good time to do it. But once again, no rules. Ask or tell me anything. The show is what it claims to be, I hope. Anyway, 888-720-9677, 888-720 WNPR. Let me just say one more thing, and then we'll go to the calls. Mike is already ready to go. But the reason that we were attempting to do it last Tuesday is because on Monday we were in New Haven taping a show with Christian Wyman, who's a poet and I think it's fair to say theologian and thinker. And that show will be airing, I believe, on Tuesday of next week. And I think he's really a remarkable guy, and I think that one's worth tuning in for. I mean, ideally, they're all worth tuning in for, but who can say? All right, enough. Let's go to the calls here. We're going to start with Mike in Woodbury. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Colin. Okay, so let's try this again. This is purely anecdotal. It may mean nothing or it may mean something, but my dog and I, early in the morning, 3 times a week, we go on a long run, and we have 2 different routes, and one of the routes takes us past this house, which well before the 2024 election was absolutely festooned with Trump signs. I mean, plastered, whatever verb you want to use.
Well, it's a good question. It's a good question whether festooned, bedecked, or bedizened. I'm not sure what degree of intensity. I'm going to say festooned is really up there, just in terms of.
Right, exactly. I mean, they were on the house itself. There were a bunch of signs. There's a tree right by the road that had a big flag hanging from it. There's a banner stuck in the ground. And so obviously MAGA to the max. And then when the election was over, I said, okay, great. Well, you got what you wanted. So now you get, but he did not take anything down. All through 2025, he left them up. Into 2026, they were still up. Last week, my dog and I run past there. Every single one is gone. Now it coincides with the Iran war, the gas prices, or it could just be a coincidence. Maybe his wife said enough is enough. I don't know, but interesting timing, and all the MAGA influences. Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and, God forbid, Alex Jones and Dick Reupers have all come out against the war. I mean, who knows if the guy listens to them? I don't know, but I mean, the signs were up for a year and a half. And then all of a sudden, they're all gone.
Right. So some important details we need to know. What is the name of your dog?
Duncan.
All right. Duncan. Because that could become relevant at some point. One thing Poirot said is everything's potentially a clue. I don't know whether he ever said that. It seems like something he might have said. So anyway, I think, obviously, it's, as you say, it's an N of one. And on the other hand, it does have a kind of metaphorical quality to it. And everything that you're saying is really true. The MAGA, first of all, two things have happened. One is that MAGA has kind of hived off from the Republican Party in a different way. And or maybe it's fairer to say that members of the Republican Party who felt at least obliged or threatened enough to nominally associate themselves with MAGA no longer feel that pressure. There's plenty of room. You can go full Marjorie Taylor Greene and just denounce the whole thing. Or as you say, you can go Megyn Kelly and Alex Jones and stuff and just denounce the war. But yeah, and today, of course, we have a consumer confidence report that is I think the lowest ever and plummeting fast. There's lots of reasons. I mean, ultimately, one by one, people who have been MAGA or who have been Trumpers are going to recognize the fact that he has so far not only not done what he promised to do, he's done the opposite. I mean, he promised no more wars, no more forever wars, and he promised that he would keep entitlements and things that were kind of important to people's domestic lives intact. And now it's the other way around. We've got a big war, and he actually got caught on camera saying that there's no way the federal government can do things like daycare, Medicare, and Medicaid because the war costs too much. So this is, it just couldn't be more the opposite of what he said he would do. Politicians tend to break their word, but usually not so spectacularly. But we'll never know, probably, unless you're willing to, risk getting shot or something by going up there and asking what it is. But I think there's a lot of different things. And, underneath all that, the Epstein stuff, if you buy, I mean, that seems to have been a precipitating factor for people like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Kind of, once you start questioning one thing, it can lead to questioning a whole bunch of other things. So, yeah, I don't know. It feels metaphorically true anyway.
Well, I think I saw somewhere where older MAGA voters are still totally with him and they're fine with the war, but younger ones are not at all. I believe that's what the polls show.
Yeah, and I just, not to prolong this but one reason for that is, this is a gross generalization, but older MAGA voters may have a little bit more breathing room, a little bit more of a comfort margin as prices start to go up. The younger MAGA voters were basically saying, in both cycles, in 2016 and in 2024, they were sort of saying, look, we don't see opportunities for us. We can't muster a down payment on a house. Everything costs too much, and nobody's thinking of us. There needs to be change, radical change, or redistribution of resources. Somehow or other, Trump persuaded a lot of them that he would be a person who would do that. I don't entirely get it, but I guess it's there. And so, yeah, they're probably going to jump ship sooner. They have fewer sunk costs. And I think, particularly the ones who voted for him for the first time in 2024, they have fewer sunk costs and they have a certain sense of urgency. They want some of this stuff to get fixed. Some of them are draft eligible too, if we ever started drafting. I'm not surprised that the young people change faster than older people anyway. But anyway, Keep us posted. If the signs go up, have Duncan call us immediately.
Okay.
All right. We want to hear from Duncan next time. All right. So the number, 888-720-9677, 888-720-WNPR. We'll do Rich, and then Matt wants to talk about cheese, which I think is a good thing to talk about. But let's get Rich because he's driving, and I don't want him to have an accident. Hi, Rich.
Oh, hi. I am pulled over. Thanks to Robyn. I was calling about the election coming up in Europe this weekend in Hungary for Viktor Orban.
Yep.
And I had heard on NPR that $100 million of aid to Zelensky in Ukraine is on hold because of that one country. And the fact that the EU is set up so that it's not easy to get rid of an existing member. They've cut him off of all funding, apparently, that would go to a poor country because they are apparently at this point the poorest country in Europe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, a few things about Hungary. First of all, I don't know what I'm more amazed by in terms of the fact that J.D. Vance is over there campaigning for him, that Viktor Orban thought that J.D. Vance would be helpful, or that J.D. Vance thought it would be a good idea to go campaign for Viktor Orban.
Right.
I guess I'm not that surprised about Vance. Vance has kind of made it clear autocracy is not a problem for him. It's not a deal breaker. His open support of AfD in Germany, which is really kind of a Nazi recrudescence. Maybe I'm being unfair, but I'm not being very unfair. Has indicated that Vance does not have a problem with authoritarians, autocrats, people who might be reasonably considered fascists. I don't know what does Orban think. He's trailing in the polls right now. Maybe that's just it. If you're trailing in the polls, you try anything. But I don't know what they think that Vance would be doing there. I think this was also said on NPR today that one thing that Orban tends to do is to run not against his domestic opponent, but against somebody else. And he's kind of been running against Zelensky. So, I don't know. I mean, in a way, this conversation will be more interesting when we have some results to look at. If Orban loses, I don't know enough about the then probable winner, or I don't really know anything about the then probable winner to know what would happen to the whole Ukraine question at that point. But go ahead.
It's not real clear. It's not real clear what the right wing opponent. They say he's extremely popular, but they haven't really spoken too much about what his point vis-a-vis Ukraine or Russia is. But they did say he was from the right.
Yeah. Well, we'll find out, but thanks for that call. And yes, I mean, this whole thing, it's going to be a fascinating weekend. Let's just put it that way. Let's talk to Matt, and then let me just tell you the phone number too, because we got open lines, 888-720-9677. That is also known as 888-720-WNPR. Matt from Higginham, you have the floor.
Oh, thanks so much. Thanks for taking my call. Not too long ago, I ate for the first time at a restaurant, and they had a fromagier, which I was told is like a sommelier, but of cheese. And I was a little skeptical, but my socks got knocked off with the cheeses. So I've spent the last year trying as many different as I can. So I was curious, first of all, are you a cheese person? And if so, where are some of the best cheeses you've had?
Well, I don't know if I would go so far as to say I'm a cheese person, but I mean, I certainly, I'm capable of enjoying cheese. I'm going to just ask the people in the cockpit, especially Robyn will know this, whether Casey's is gone, right? And that used to be the place in New Haven where you could really get, we did a show about cheese. This was very early in our existence. And they came in and the people from that restaurant, they brought in these cheeses. And they were really interesting cheeses. But, cheeses typically need to come to around room temperature in order to really disgorge their glory.
Right.
I don't think that studio smelled right for about 6 weeks afterwards. There was like nothing we could do to get the cheese smell out of it. But I'm being told that Casey's is now in Wallingford. Casey's Provisions. They have great grilled cheese, according to Robyn-Doyon Aitken, the person who took your call. I actually do think that I was tempted to say Japanese beaver cheese, not because I'm even sure that exists, but in the famous Monty Python cheese shop routine, that is one of the cheeses that that John Cleese's character mentions. I'm also being told that Where We Live did a cheese show recently. I think part of the fun of cheese is that it's not one thing. It's
Right.
it's 150 different things, and the cheese. I think one thing can depart from another thing so radically and still be called cheese. They're both called cheese. Their texture is different. Their smell is different. Their taste is different. The only thing that their point of origin might be about the same, like just from an udder or something. But I think it is fun. It's I think what happens, of course, for Americans, two things happen. We get lulled into the stuff that's available, and then Americans are also a little bit afraid of things at room temperature. I'm being told Casey also has a food truck. In Europe, the cheese, it just sits out on the table for a couple of days. It's like a household pet. The cat walks across the cheese. You still eat the cheese. And I mean, we have these highly processed, individually wrapped slices. So the typical American, there was this Clotaire Rapaille, I think he was this Swiss, I think, brand theorist. He was the one who talked about that initially, that in Europe, cheese is a living thing. You bought some fromage. It's a living thing. It's going to sit there on your table until somebody eats all of it. And probably at room temperature, it's going to be, and Americans have a much more sterile, oh my God, this could probably kill me. How can I make sure that it's, perfectly sterilized and denatured in every possible way? So anyway, good for you that you're out there trying. What did you find? Robyn also wants you to know about Cato Corner, Arethusa, New Kurds on the Block. I didn't know about that one, but yeah, Arethusa is great.
Yeah,
and Cato Corner also another local place too. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to look into that one. I had two takeaways. One is that I tried to, I guess it would be challenge the chef, and I asked for the cheese that smelled and tastes like the inside of a motorman's glove, and I didn't realize that cheeses can be so potent and pungent. So my question is, who likes those cheeses? And then my second thing is, I had never had any fruit-infused cheeses, and I've absolutely fallen in love with the combination of cheese and fruit.
Yeah, I mean, cheese and fruit in general, I mean, it's just apples and cheese is just a great combination, even if it's not infused. I sort of get it, I think once you kind of train your nose and your palate and stuff like that, you're going to, I mean, it is a little bit like seeking a bigger high, it's like, okay, that was okay, but what else can I get? How can I have an even more transformative experience?
Right.
So yeah, no, I get that. I'm pretty open to really stinky cheese. I will say that we at the time, the producer of our show when we did that show was Patrick Scahill, who I think doesn't eat cheese or can't eat cheese whatever his feelings about cheese were, they were heavily connected to the smells that were. And I think I think Patrick and Wolfie were the whole staff of the show except for me, and I think they both kind of are grossed out by cheese, and they were really grossed out by that. So anyway, but thanks for that trip down memory lane or down smelly memory lane. Which I'll take Mark's call and then we'll go to a break. I was going to go to a break now, but okay. So the number, if you want to call in. Doesn't have to be about cheese. 888-720-9677. Could be about anything. 888-720-WNPR. Remind me to tell my AI story right after this before we go to the break, because it just fits with Matt's call very well. Here is Mark on Long Island. Hey, Mark.
Hi, Colin. I'll try and be brief. This is a cheese-related call. I want to tell you quickly about how to make the best grilled cheese sandwich.
All right.
Okay, and the most important thing is you never put butter onto the bread. That always just goes onto a preheated skittle. Mm-hmm. And what you also do is you pre-toast one side of the bread. Some toasters have a little button that does that. Most of us use just a tray and just toast one side. Mm-hmm. You use that as the inside of your sandwich. Put the cheese up against both the toasted sides, and then lay that down onto butter that's sizzling in the shape of the bread, and then flip it, do the same thing to the other side, and you got it. Now you can have your break.
But you need like 30 minutes to get ready to do a grilled cheese. You got to like toast it all.
No, it doesn't take that long.
Seems complicated.
I recall you having a show where you complained about a toaster that you had that only toasted one side. Why would you ever have
I could have got you to buy that toaster from me. You would have wanted that toaster.
No, I didn't need that toaster.
Yeah, well, it only did toast on one side. I'll tell you the thing that the grilled cheese technique that I have invented. Although you seem like the kind of person, you're kind of a purist and you're going to object to this, or you're going to say that's kind of almost a panini or something. What I do when I'm making a grilled cheese is I put it in the pan, and at a certain point, sometimes after I flipped it, you're going, already. I just take the lid from some other pan or pot and I put it right over the grilled cheese so that the heat will be more contained and the cheese inside the bread will melt faster.
You're the person who looks at a beautiful stacked up sandwich and then crushes it down to cut it in half.
I knew you would hate me. I do. Liz, while we're on we've had a show that's been in development for, I'm going to say 11 years. And it's on whether or not things that matters are improved if you cut a sandwich diagonally as opposed to cutting it into two rectangles. What is your position? You seem like you have strong feelings about things.
Well, of course, and you're missing one thing. The straight cut across.
Yeah.
Which direction? Are you doing symmetry or asymmetry?
Explain.
Well, one way you're going horizontally, one way you're doing vertical, for instance, if you're making in front of you. Whichever way. One way looks like a mirror image of the other side.
Yeah.
The other one is a top and a bottom. Oh, my God, what a difference.
Yes. So how do we feel about the diagonal?
That's still no good. You're better off actually with the symmetry because that's the fairest way of doing it.
Well, it's fair if you're planning to split the sandwich with somebody else. Well, otherwise, or if you have multiple personality disorder and you're going to have this one and then Bobby is going to have the other one. But
then you would have a decision on which half to eat first, the bottom or the top.
But I just feel like, and I hate to say this to you because you obviously, you really have thought deeply about all these things, but I feel like you're not coming to grips with this whole question, the whole diagonal sandwich cut. Because there are people who feel like there are even people who feel like, and I know this is from the perspective of physics, incorrect. You feel like you get more sandwich somehow. Maybe it's the exposure.
No, but if you really want to go with that whole concept, go with the T sandwiches, trim the edges, go with the triangle.
Yeah.
Two diagonals, in other words.
All right. Okay. Well, I give up. I give up with you. I'm really trying to get you to take a position on the diagonal, and I just feel like it's not there. All right. We're going to take a little break here. 888-720-9677. Say that again, G. You're so right. You're so right. Thank you, Eugene Amatruda. First of all, the number to call, 888-720-9677. I'm glad somebody here remembers what I say. I certainly don't. 888-720-WNPR. Now Gene's going to be sorry that he reminded me to do this because I just saw this thing that was posted by a guy on some social medias, and he had sent to, I forget which AI platform, a sort of a compendium, a supercut, I guess, of basically fart noises. And he asked the AI chatbot or the AI to evaluate my music, as he put it. And please tell me what you think of my music. And this is just, 2 days ago, we did a show about AI sycophants, where 1/3 of the show was about sycophancy in AI. And AI told them, the AI's reaction was all just as if this were some kind of legitimate music. And I think it's, very, very key to someone's mood. And at no point did AI say, this is gross, what's wrong with you, why are you sending me fart noises? Which is yet one more reason why AI should not be trusted with anything. All right, we're going to take a break for real now, and we will come back. But please give us a call.
as long as we're still breathing, it will never come apart. Ain't nothing you can do to stop me from loving you. Ain't nothing you can say to make me go away. I love you.
That is Steady by Victory, or Victory by Steady. Actually, let me just take a moment. By the way, we have wide open phone lines here. It's ask or tell me anything. You can bring up any topic you want. It could be something as, not something as eternal, let's put it that way, as cheese. It could be something right keyed to the day's headlines, including the war, things like that. Melania. 888-720-9677. 888-720-WNPR is the other possibility. It's actually the same possibility, simply expressed differently. Okay, so before I go to the music thing, let me just wrap up what I was saying before. So this guy sends a supercut of some flatulence noises. I don't think it was necessarily his own flatulence, to AI, asking AI to evaluate. Actually, the question was, what do you think of this music I made? And the AI responded, I listened to your track. Here's a straight, honest reaction. First impression, it has a cool, lo-fi, late-night, slightly eerie vibe. It feels more like an atmosphere piece than a traditional song, which actually works in its favor. It reminds me of something that would play over a Quiet City montage or end credits. And then it says, what works well? The mood is consistent. You clearly had a tone in mind and stuck to it. The minimalism is good. You didn't overfill the space. There's a nice bedroom DIY texture that makes it feel personal rather than polished generic. And the short length, 37 seconds, actually suits it. It feels like a fragment or interlude. This is in response to being sent 37 seconds of flatulence noises. This is why AI is not ready to be trusted. I mean, there's so many other ways in which I could illustrate that point, but that one's that's my favorite one. All right, so we are going to go to the phones again here, 888-720-9677, 888-720-WNPR. The thing I wanted to say is when we do Ask or Tell Me Anything, sometimes I reach back into the memory vault and pull out a song like the John Martin song that opens the show. And Dylan Reyes and I kind of are in collaboration picking out some of the music. He has his own choice, which will be coming out pretty soon. But mostly what I do, I might have said this before, but I'll say it again. Mostly what I do is I listen to music that has just come out. In other words, it's like maybe been out for 6 weeks, let's say. And one of the reasons I do it is because it's just for myself, because I'm 71 years old. I don't want to become that person who doesn't like anything new. And this forces me once a week to spend maybe a couple of hours just sitting and listening to as many new songs as I possibly can. It's a really good habit to get into because you, first of all, find out, you might have liked that song I just played. Brand new song. All right, that's all. I'll stop pontificating about that. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Eloise in Deep River. You have the floor.
I'm from Norwich, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
I was wondering if you had seen The Company Retreat or The Jury Duty on Amazon Prime.
No, it has not. It has been watched in my place of dwelling, but not by me. I don't, I have to say overall, the entire kind of Nathan Fielder era of that kind of television, I'm not the market for it. I'm not the right person for it. I did watch the first one that had James Marsden in it. We were doing a Nose episode where we discussed it, so I kind of forced myself to do it. I tend to like actual truly scripted television a little bit more, but I know a lot of people like it. Did you have something you wanted to say about it?
I found it fascinating that they found people that could go through that and come up with the ending they were hoping for.
Yeah. No, I mean, that whole thing, I know it's very attractive to a lot of other people, but, our time is limited and there's so much that we can watch. There's so many different choices we can make. So I kind of haven't made that choice, but thank you so much for calling in and suggesting it. All right. So let's talk to Ted in Blueville. This is something that I think I had not known. Hi, Ted.
Hey, Colin, how are you? Happy Friday. Thanks
Happy
for
Friday.
taking my call.
Sure.
So, I found out some headline from a Republican American that the gentleman who won the special election for Marjorie Greene Taylor's seat went to Cheshire Academy, which I thought was kind of interesting because, for a MAGA fun fact, even like that other guy on Fox, Jesse Wetters, is that his name? He went to Trinity.
Well, yeah, Trinity has produced George Will, Tucker Carlson, and Jesse Waters.
Wow.
So there's clearly, George Will now looks like, I actually have always kind of liked George Will. And his politics aren't mine, but he's a gentleman, and I've talked to him once or twice, and he seems like a pretty decent human being for the most part. We wouldn't agree about a lot of things, but the modern day brat is, and not in the Charlie XCX sense, is Tucker Carlson and then Jesse Waters. And Trinity is, that's not what Trinity is. It isn't some kind of factory farm to make those. That just happens to be one of the byproducts. I think there is a heavily funded chair in sort of conservative political thought. So there's always at least one person teaching that stuff. But yeah, first of all, to be surprised having attended a private day school, in a way, those places are just as easily the breeding grounds for far right thinkers as they are for anything else. So
I just thought it was interesting. But again, you mentioned Tucker Carlson. Some of my friends were kind of impressed with his most recent thing about the war, I guess, and what happened on Easter. And I kind of took a double take. I'm kind of like, it's Tucker Carlson he might have sounded reasonable, but with his track record, it's going to take a lot more than just one recent podcast to kind of, show that he's maybe more, in the middle.
Yeah, there is definitely he is definitely having a fissure with Trump, not only on this war, but on other stuff. When you look at those guys, you have to sort of ask yourself the question, to what degree is it, well, let me back up and say, any number of reasonable people, including me, would say that some of the problem here, some of the things that caused this war, amount to Trump being led around on a leash by Bibi Netanyahu. And the most recent New York Times reporting on this really describes, how true that was, that Bibi actually came and met with Trump in his inner circle, and Trump didn't sit at the table. Instead, Bibi and Trump kind of symbolically sat directly opposite each other at one end of the table. I do not regard Bibi Netanyahu as a force for good. I think he is a harmful man. Now, believing that and not supporting the behavior of Israel as regards Gaza is not the same thing as being anti-Semitic or anti-Israel. Tucker Carlson, he's sort of enough a part of that growing wing of the far right of the Republican Party that does appear to harbor some genuine anti-Israel and anti-Semitic sentiments. So that may have a lot to do with his position on the war.
Maybe
you go ahead.
Well, maybe it's something in the water in Connecticut that these people who become significant MAGA people, they spend time in Connecticut and whatever. I think it's it's interesting. But again, how there's that side of people from Connecticut where they love living here, but then they hate living here.
Yes,
they have this kind of duality. And they're just not happy. But then if you go on the other side, I've lived in numerous parts of the country, and I came back to Connecticut 20 years ago because of the quality of life. So
yeah, I would describe those people as they hate Connecticut, but they never move. Anyway, thanks for your call, Ted. And yes, as Groucho Marx said, always inspect the dice. And I think that's true when you look at people's political positions. All right, so let me go to James in the interest of grilled cheese symmetry, and then we'll circle back to Zach. All right, James, you have the floor right now.
Colin, thank you. I heard the description of how to make a grilled cheese, and I had to stop myself from yelling at the radio.
Oh, no. I didn't realize it was such a divisive... Okay, here we go, yes.
First of all, okay, why involve a toaster in toasting half the bread of a grilled cheese?
Well, I was trying to make the point, it just seemed like a big commitment of time. He's a purist.
Occam's razor, the simplest is the best. So first of all, you also want a certain texture. So you want the outside to be crispy and the inside to be soft and gooey. So very simple. Actually, have you ever seen the movie Chef by Jon Favreau?
I have not. I'm aware of it, but I have not seen it.
Great movie, good for foodies.
Yeah.
He kind of makes this beautiful grilled cheese. There's a behind-the-scenes YouTube on it and how a professional chef showed him how to make the grilled cheese, like a Zen cone, and how you worship and watch the heat and how it's going. A little bit too much, but for a simple grilled cheese, basically you want soft butter. You do want to butter the bread for like a very good absorption. You butter the bread, soft butter, put it in the pan, use a nice variety of cheeses, do both sides, let it get nice and crispy. Put them together. If you want, you can put the lid on in case you don't want to burn the bread. The lid will kind of create an oven effect and help melt the cheese.
That's what I do. I'm a lid guy.
You're a lid guy. So so anyway, that motivated me to call.
All right. Well, since you're out on a limb here already, I mean, I sort of agree with you. To me, the job is getting the cheese to melt before the bread burns. That's the grilled cheese job in a nutshell. I don't recommend using a nutshell to do this, but in a pinch you probably could. So yes, I think you and I are thinking about this generally the same way.
Low and slow, right? Low and slow. You don't want to burn it, and then the lid is a great thing. And cheese is a great thing.
Yeah. So back to my previous question to the previous caller. When it comes to cutting the grilled cheese sandwich, what is your thinking?
Oh my God, diagonal. The only way is diagonal.
Now explain why though. Why is that the better way?
Oh, it's easy. Basically, you have 4 beautiful points to bite into. The pointed part of the sandwich is designed to fit perfectly in your mouth.
Yes.
And you get the beauty and the joy of 4 bites like that.
I not only love what you're saying, but your tone of voice. You're so rapturous.
Well, I love food, and also, you have to serve it with a pickle. So you have to cut through the unctuousness of the cheese, the gooiness, with a nice sharp pickle on the side.
Not like a cornichon, though. Like you want like more of a dill pickle. You can do a cornichon.
I'm not against cornichon.
You might.
They're small. 3 cornichons is perfectly fine.
I love how we've turned into Seinfeld characters. Oh, you might do that. You might have the cornichon. I don't know what it means. I don't know why they call it that. All right. This is a great call, James. Okay, Zach, we're going to take a quick break, but I will get to you right when we get back. I promise. We'll take a break. We'll come back.
Should I say well done when I know how he was done? Would be surprised and true. Turned out to be cruel, but I always rejoice to see us win some ground from off the boys. And all this talk of love, when that's something you never know. It's too undignified and much too close. It's much too close. It's much too close. It's much too close to home.
I met
All right, time to say some words of thanks. First to Eugene Amatruda, the Jedi Master. Obi-Wan is our technical producer today. Dylan Reyes is off-site. Jonathan McPence is producing this show. Robyn-Doyon Aitken, our boss, is the wonderful, warm person taking your phone calls and making sure that you have at least one good experience. And somewhere in the distance, Lily Tyson Quality Entertainment Productions is overseeing everything. All right, so we have phone calls. I'm going to get to as many of them as possible. We're going to start, as promised, with Zach. Hi, Zach.
Hi, Colin. How are you?
Just fine.
That's good. So you probably saw my calls about AI.
Yep.
And kind of in the light of the new Claude Mythos model that got released, but the news about it. I was wondering if you were familiar with or had read Yudkowsky and Soros's book, If Anyone Builds It, Everyone Dies, and quite the sensational title. And if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I haven't read the book.
Headed.
Yeah, I haven't read the book, but I mean, like everybody else, or not like everybody else, but like a lot of people, I do feel like they're going too fast. They got to slow down. And it's happening in an environment where there are no cooler heads. I mean, and there might be some cooler heads in some of the companies, but in terms of regulation, which I think this needs, we have a federal government right now that hates to regulate anything. Except dissent. But other than that, they don't like regulating stuff. This cries out for some kind of oversight. And for people who are just kind of tuning into this too, the fear with the Mythos program is something called Q Day, which is a moment where AI can crack encryption and suddenly your bank accounts and all kinds of other stuff just goes spilling out all over everywhere. And we probably have some kind of economic collapse that goes along with that, and just bad news for everybody. But yeah, the programs they're sort of talented without being wise. And that's the thing that alarms me the most in a more generalized and comprehensive way than simply Mythos and Q Day. I think what we're seeing is something that can think very fast, but not always with wisdom. And just a recipe for disaster. But I assume you're worried about that too.
Yeah, so one of the things that really struck me reading Yudkowsky's book is, so I think a lot of people don't really know this, but these large language models, they're not crafted in the sense that the people building them know what everything in it does, and they know all the code, et cetera, et cetera. They are made in a process that is closest in analogy to being grown. And even the whole concept of training data, people think, the AI reflects what you put in as the training data. And it's like, it doesn't really work like that either. You actually have shockingly little control over how the model will think, even based on what is given to it as training data. So I really encourage people to read this book and get past the kind of shocking title if they can emotionally. It's very, very informative. Yeah. And then I have one little addition for the grilled cheese discussion from earlier. So I came up with this after having many instances of cooking the bread much more than I would like to. Yep. And so this is my little trick for getting cheese just perfect. You start with you put the cheese on the two slices of bread. You put the bread on a plate on top of a little layer of paper towel under each slice, and you microwave that for about 20 seconds. I mean, you can also start with room temperature cheese if you happen to have that. But as we were discussing earlier, that's not so.
Yeah. It's un-American. It's un-American to have room. Okay, I don't know how I feel about this microwave thing, Zach. And to me, it just feels like we're playing into the hands of AI, putting our grilled cheese sandwiches in the microwave. That's probably what AI wants us to do. And maybe we'll all die that way too. All right, we got time for Carly's story. Carly in Chester. Hi, Carly.
Hi, Colin. Yes, it's a beautiful day down here. I'm going to drag you back to Tucker Carlson.
Yes.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was recently on a safari in South Africa. This is like 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they pair you up with a couple other people when you go on these game drives. And we were with these two guys for about 4 or 5 days. And they were married to each other, very kind and compassionate toward each other. One of them had some serious health issues, and the other one just treated him with so much love and compassion. It was beautiful. Well, I kept asking this guy what he did for a living, and he just kept kind of brushing me off. He'd say, "Oh, I'm in media," or "I'm doing independent documentaries." Well, by the third day, I just kept asking, and his partner said, "Well, just tell her what you did." And so he said, "Well, I was kind of sheepishly," which to his credit, I guess, I was Tucker Carlson's executive producer until we both got fired in 2023. And before that, I was Greta Van Sustern's executive producer. And I looked at him and I said, "Well, I understand now why you didn't want to tell me."
Exactly. You know, Roy Blunt once said that, Jesse James never said he was a desperado. If people asked him what he did, he probably said, "Oh, something in trains, banks, that kind of thing." All right. Thanks for your calls. Bring up the music, Gene. It's time to say goodbye. And we're going to say goodbye. But we're going to be back on Monday. We're going to do this whole format all over again on Monday. So if you didn't get on the air, like you, Molly, call on Monday.
We are